Today's case is yet another story of a mother who violently turns on her own children only to claim that she was insane at the time. Not only that, but she claims that she was manipulated into doing what she did, saying that she loved her children and would only hurt them if someone tricked her. As we go through this video, you will learn more and more details of how exactly this horrible crime was carried out. And by the end, I want to hear what you all think. Was this a case of a mother who snapped, or is she just another evil, selfish monster who chose to take the lives of her innocent babies? But before we get into a case that is sure to stress you out, I want to talk about something that I like to use to help me relax, and that is Beam's Dream Powder. I have the non-CBD Dream Powder, and let me tell you, I am obsessed. Dream takes a revolutionary approach to sleep with natural sleep-supportive ingredients in the form of a delicious, guilt-free hot chocolate. Beam's Dream Powder is formulated to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up refreshed without that morning grogginess that so many of us struggle with. There's no added sugar, it's gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, non-GMO, keto-friendly, and it's only 15 calories per serving, so it really can fit in with any and all dietary needs. Dream Powder also comes in all sorts of different amazing flavors and various potencies, so you can customize it to your lifestyle. I have their classic flavor, their cinnamon cocoa, which has been the best little addition to my nighttime routine. Those who know me best know that I end almost every night with a cup of hot chocolate regardless of the weather, and that is coming from someone who lives in Arizona because I absolutely love hot chocolate and I need to get a little bit of sweetness at the end of each day. I need my chocolate fix. It's for my sanity. They also have flavors such as chocolate peanut butter, and for the holidays, they have white chocolate peppermint and gingerbread. I'm someone that's always struggled with sleep, no matter when I go to bed, how much exercise I get, how soon before bed I eat. I always struggle to sleep and never feel fully rested when I wake up in the morning. But now with Beam's Dream Powder, I feel like I fall asleep so much easier and I don't wake up in the middle of the night as often as I used to. I feel like I can do so much more with my day now that I actually feel rested and have the energy from proper sleep. So give Beam's Dream Powder a try out for yourself and experience the beauty that is restful sleep. Right now is your last chance to shop Beam's extended Cyber Monday sale where you can get up to 50% off site-wide. This is their biggest sale ever, so don't miss out with this limited time offer. No code needed, just follow the link down below or scan the QR code to head to their website now. Thank you again so much to Beam for partnering with me on today's video. With that being said, let's get into today's case. Then 32-year-old Tiffanie Lucas was the mother to 9-year-old Jaden Howard and 6-year-old Maurice Baker Jr., who the family called Peanut. Both boys were born to different fathers, but they were living with Tiffany in Shepherdsville, Kentucky for most of their lives growing up. According to family members, both boys were known to be sweet, polite, and happy. They both loved playing video games and being outside. Little Maurice also loved playing soccer and riding his bike around. Both boys were just so precious and special and were so very loved by everyone who knew them. To those on the outside, it appeared that Tiffany was a loving, doting mother who had a lot going for her. She seemed to be driven to succeed in every aspect of her life, from opening her own small business to raising her 2 babies to the best of her abilities. She was constantly posting to Facebook photos of herself and her adorable boys, writing about how much she loved and adored them, calling them her little kings. However, those closest to Tiffany have said that what she chose to show the world was completely different from what was going on behind closed doors. According to family members, Tiffany struggled with drug use. Between the years of 2014 through 2018, Tiffany had at least 3 interactions with police for drug-related offenses. By 2018, she was charged with drug possession, but she pleaded guilty and spent just 1 month behind bars. At that time, the boys were taken from her and placed into the care of family members, but after serving her time, the boys were placed back into her care. Family members say that Tiffany just had this way of gaming the court systems to always get her way. Since 2018, she hadn't been charged with any other drug-related offenses, but once again, according to family members, that didn't mean that she stopped using. Now, Jaden's father unfortunately passed away in 2019, but Jaden had grandparents and an older brother who loved him and wanted to spend as much time with him as possible. Meanwhile, Maurice's father also adored his son, wanting to be as involved in his life as he possibly could. Maurice had a home with his father and his little half-brother. He had a room at his house and had everything he needed there. However, Maurice Sr. said that Tiffany made spending time with his son nearly impossible. He would go out of his way to plan big birthday and Christmas parties for Maurice, but Tiffany wouldn't allow him to go. He would try calling Tiffany, getting to the point of begging her to see his son, but she wouldn't allow it. There were times that he would text her simply asking to speak to his son, but those texts usually went unanswered. Then an entire year passed with Tiffany completely preventing Maurice from seeing his son even a single time. Jaden's father's side of the family also had similar experiences with Tiffany. Jaden's paternal grandmother said that she also had a home for Jaden. Tiffany knew very well that Jaden was welcome at any time. She loved having him over and begged Tiffany to spend time with him. But once again, she kept him away from his family. It seemed that Tiffany didn't want her sons to spend time with their father's sides of the family. According to Maurice's stepmother, Michelle, Tiffany was just a very selfish person. Many who knew Tiffany said that she never actually wanted what was best for her sons. She only did what she wanted. She seemed to resent the father sides of the family, so she prevented her sons from having relationships with their fathers and half-siblings. Then she also didn't have a job and refused to work. Family members said that they actually had no idea how she made her money. Some family members suspected that she worked in escort services or something like that because she did live in a home with her 2 boys and had to be paying the rent somehow. Apparently, they had also found some sort of emails in her computer that did allude to her working in that area, but it's never actually really been confirmed as far as I could see. Throughout this time, Maurice Sr. said that he knew Tiffany was still using, saying that her drug habit was affecting her parenting. It was said that Tiffany was known to leave the boys at home for extended periods of time while she was out. Either that or she would lock them in the car and leave them in there while she went out. The house was always dirty, and there were times in which Tiffany simply didn't provide the boys the care that they needed. Maurice Sr. and other family members said that they reached out to Child Protective Services multiple times since the boys were born to report Tiffany, but CPS never did anything. They always told Maurice Sr. and Jaden's families that there wasn't enough evidence to prove that Tiffany wasn't a fit mother. Maurice's father said that he also went to the courts to try and get visitation rights or partial custody of Maurice so that he could force Tiffany into allowing him to see his son, but the courts never seemed to help him either. This left the family members incredibly frustrated with CPS and the courts, who weren't helping one bit. By the morning of November 8th, 2023, Jaden and Maurice were seen by a neighbor playing outside in the front lawn as Tiffany was coming in and out of the house, appearing to be frantically cleaning the carpet. But then, just a few hours later that same morning, another neighbor was pulling into his driveway when he saw Tiffany outside, now by herself, walking down the driveway and up near a neighbor's house before she just collapsed. The neighbor was obviously concerned, so he went over to her and asked her if she was okay. And at that time, Tiffany yelled out, "The children are dying." This prompted the neighbor to go inside and check out what was going on. But once inside the home, he was met with a horrifying scene. He went into the master bedroom, only to find that Tiffany's 2 children, 9-year-old Jaden and 6-year-old Maurice, were lying dead on the bed. Both boys were covered in blood, and there was a gun lying next to them. Another neighbor called 911 to report what was going on, while that first neighbor stayed with the boys until help arrived. This neighbor reported that Tiffany was shaking and yelling out that something happened to her kids. In the beginning of the call, you can actually hear Tiffany in the background. This neighbor said that it looked like she was on something, and she was freaking out. Then the neighbor who had gone inside the home took the phone and explained what he just saw. He said that he saw the boys covered in blood with a gun next to them, but they were still alive and breathing, and he couldn't find a gunshot wound on either boy.
My neighbor just came up to my door and just passed out, and I can't get her to wake up. She's
okay. Is she breathing?
She is.
How old is she?
I would say in her early 30s. And now she's screaming that the kids are dying. Stay here.
Do we know what happened to him?
I have no idea. We just found our neighbor, the woman, their mom, just freaking out in my yard.
Okay, and how old is he?
Oh my God, he's I don't know. He's probably 6. There's blood all over the bed. There's a gun. Oh my God.
Was he shot?
I don't see a gunshot wound. There's 2 of them. They're both here. They're breathing.
Okay. There's 2 children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is she able to tell you what's going on or what happened?
No. Do you know what happened? No. She is shaking. She's on something, freaking out. I don't know. She's just laying here now on her stomach.
Police responded to the home by 11 a.m., and when they got there, they found Tiffany lying face down in the driveway. They immediately placed her into handcuffs while other officers went inside to check out the scene. Immediately upon entering the home, it was clear that the home is a bit chaotic. It was messy and full of clutter. They saw that several of the utilities had been shut off and there was an eviction notice in the home. Then they went into the master bedroom where they found those 2 boys who were unconscious but were still alive. Next to them, they found the gun. Next to them, they had found the gun that had been used in the shooting. Paramedics did everything they could to stabilize the boys before loading them into an ambulance and transporting them to the hospital, all in hopes of saving their lives. However, unfortunately, shortly after arriving to the children's hospital, both 9-year-old Jaden and 6-year-old Maurice were pronounced dead after suffering from fatal gunshot wounds. After discovering this horrific scene, of course, Tiffany was immediately arrested and placed into the back of a police cruiser. In the meantime, other officers went around the area asking neighbors if they had any information or if they had any external cameras that could have recorded the incident. And lucky enough, there was one neighbor who had a camera that faced Tiffany's home. In that video, officers heard as 4 gunshots rang out, one after another, lasting for about 30 seconds total. Then, about 5 minutes after those shots go off, Tiffany can be seen running out of her home, yelling for help before she collapsed. The camera then picked up the neighbor going and speaking with Tiffany before first responders arrived. This camera also confirmed that Tiffany was the only person in that home other than the children at the time of the shootings. There was no possible way that anybody else could have been responsible. So now going back to the scene to when after Tiffany was placed into the back of that police cruiser. At that time, she told first responders that she wasn't feeling well, so EMS took her to a stretcher to examine her. They asked her all sorts of questions about how she was feeling, but she actually wouldn't talk to them. So they just did their examination, took her vitals, and checked out her body for any serious injury, but she was just fine, no injuries, and her vitals were stable. After the examination, she was then transported to the station. At that time, she claimed to the officer that she had actually shot herself in the ear. They too examined her, checking her to see if she had some sort of injury to her ear, but once again, they found absolutely nothing. They did have EMS come in for yet another examination to triple check, but they found nothing. They told Tiffany that they weren't finding anything, but she was convinced that there was something there and that they were lying. They were using this little metal detector, which did go off when it was near her ear, but they told her it was because of her handcuffs. She wasn't convinced, though, telling them that they're sick in the head.
I shot myself.
Huh?
I shot myself in the head.
You what?
Shot myself in my ear.
You shot yourself in the ear?
Mm-hmm.
What's ear?
This one.
I don't see anything. There's nothing there. Okay. Where you?
We're gonna take her back to the interview room. I gotta go in and turn it on, so we're going to wait till I get there, and we can view her and just keep an eye on her, okay?
Okay.
We brought her through the door, and she claims that she stated she shot herself in the ear. We checked, didn't see anything, but we're going to have EMS come check her out.
You ain't showing nothing now.
You was showing something now? You was showing something, you said? Yeah, he did.
Huh?
He said it ain't showing nothing now.
It's not.
It was earlier.
It was vibrating, but
That's why you asked about the earrings in.
right, but it could be
Yeah.
it could be coming
Yeah.
up with your handcuffs there.
Yeah. That's why it was vibrating. People aren't right.
Who ain't right?
People are not right. They're preying on children. It's just not right.
I'm not seeing nothing. That's supposedly
He
the one she
did,
said.
though. He did, didn't he? He said, "You got earrings in, didn't he?"
Okay,
It's on
calm
camera.
down. It's okay.
That don't have nothing to do with it.
It means everything. You're up. You're sick.
After this second and third examination, with multiple people looking at her and nobody finding anything, they finally took her into a room for questioning. In that interview, which lasted around 3 hours, they asked her to tell them a bit about herself. She started saying that she wasn't crazy. She then said that she loved her children and would never hurt them. She said that she fell back in terms of her parenting. She said that she wasn't focused how she was supposed to, so she was letting her kids play video games and watch YouTube, which was messing their minds up. She said that it can make kids manipulate their parents. She said that something must have been put upon her house and her mind because she would never hurt her kids.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I mean, where are you from, or where you grew up, or anything like that?
I know I look crazy, but I'm not.
Huh?
Because I know I look crazy, but I'm not crazy.
I don't think you look crazy. If I'm going to talk to someone, I'd rather know who they are. You know, I can tell you a little bit about me.
I love my children.
You tell me a little bit about you. Okay.
I love my children. I love my boys so much.
I know.
I wouldn't hurt them, but I just feel like I fell back and I was letting them play the video games and I wasn't like focusing how I was supposed to, you know, and they get that video game and the YouTube and the kids, it just messes their minds up to where people can manipulate their parents or do whatever they want, and I feel like someone put something upon my house or me or something, like I just don't feel right. I'm not, like I don't do this. I love my kids.
How old are your boys?
Jaden's 9, March is 6.
She went on to say that she didn't shoot her kids, even though she admitted earlier that she did. She said that she must have left the gun in the room by itself and it discharged on its own. Either that or she shot the kids by accident. She said that she would never deliberately do anything like this unless she was controlled or manipulated into it. But of course, police knew that Tiffany didn't shoot her children by accident. They knew that if you love your children, you cannot be manipulated into shooting them. They knew that she took that gun and then murdered both of her children, shooting them one by one, killing them. So at that time, she was obviously charged with their murders. The following day, she had her bail hearing, which was set at $2 million. From there, she awaited her trial in jail. While behind bars and during all the subsequent court hearings, it was said that Tiffany showed absolutely no emotion. Meanwhile, family members came out to talk about just how devastated they are, saying that they believed drugs absolutely played a role in this. They said once again that nobody can be manipulated into killing their own children, especially in such a brutal way. She allowed drugs to ruin her life, ruin her mind, and carry out her final evil, selfish act against those boys, causing endless pain and suffering for so many people who loved them. At first, Tiffany pleaded not guilty due to reason of insanity, and the trial for 2 counts of capital murder was set to begin in December of this year. However, before that could happen, by October of this year, Tiffany actually pleaded guilty to her charges. She actually did not accept a plea deal from the prosecution, instead pleading guilty as a part of an open plea, which leaves herself at the mercy of the court to determine her sentence. This means that while Tiffany is accepting guilt for what she did, there will still be a hearing to discuss mitigating and aggravating factors to determine her sentence. So at the sentencing hearing, Tiffany's defense claimed that she was experiencing delusions and suffered from a psychotic break at the time of the murders. They said that she had stopped using opioids at the time, and as a part of getting clean, she was experiencing withdrawals, which is what was causing those delusions. They said that Tiffany was convinced that she and her children were being stalked by an unknown group of powerful people who were going to abduct and torture them. She felt that the only way to save them from this fate was to kill them and then herself. They claimed that Tiffany did try shooting herself after she killed the boys, but the gun magically somehow jammed. I do know that guns jam sometimes. I'm not saying that this never happens, but it is pretty convenient that it only jammed once she tried shooting herself and not when she tried killing those boys. But either way, her defense attorney stated that while it may be hard for everyone else to understand, no one is more devastated at the deaths of Jaden and Maurice than Tiffany. She loved those boys and only thought that she was trying to help them when she killed them. Then, the courts heard victim impact statements from various family members of the boys who had a lot to say about Tiffany and what she did. They called her a monster who selfishly took the lives of 2 children who meant the world to so many people. Maurice's father explained how he so desperately tried to get his son from Tiffany, but she wouldn't allow it. He said that she was the one who chose drugs over her sons. She chose to put them in that situation, so she needs to pay the maximum price for what she did to them. Maurice's aunt, Bobby, spoke about how she saw both Maurice and Jaden as her nephews, saying that she will never forgive her for what she did. Jaden's grandmother made another emotional and very powerful statement. She said that Tiffany's actions have ripped them apart, taking away the one thing they loved most. She said that Tiffany knew they would have taken Jaden and Maurice if she needed them to. They could have been with family who loved and cared for them. But instead, she was selfish and took them both away from everyone who loved them.
You know, Jaden was the only thing we had left. And you took him from us. You know, I had already lost his dad. And then my other son. And then you took Jaden. You have ripped our lives apart. And you know that you could have gave them kids to us, and we would have took care of them. But you have been selfish. My heart is in pieces. And you know that you have always had a place to drop them off. You took him from me, and I hurt every day. Every second of the day, I hurt. And I hope they give you 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. I want you to suffer just like I'm suffering right now. They did not deserve that. You took my little man from me.
At the end of this very emotional hearing, the judge stated that he can't imagine the sheer horror those kids must have experienced seeing their mother with a gun, which she turned against them. Their final moments were filled with terror and anguish, all at the hands of the woman who was supposed to love and protect them. With that being said, the judge handed Tiffany 2 life sentences, which was the maximum penalty she could have received. It was stated that she could be considered for parole after 20 years, but the judge seriously doubts that that will happen. The courtroom erupted with applause after the sentence was handed.
I cannot imagine the sheer horror these children must have experienced seeing their mother with a gun. The sheer horror that second child had as he heard the discharge of that weapon for the first child, and maybe even both of them seeing their mother pull the trigger, taking their life. Case number 23 CR 404, Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Tiffanie Lucas, as to count 1. The court will adjudge the defendant guilty of the offense of murder and fix her sentence at life in prison. On count 2, the court will adjudge the defendant guilty of the offense of murder and fix her sentence at life in prison.
So that is where this case ends. I actually did cover this case one time before at the beginning of this year when it was all pretty fresh and it was all actively happening, but that was very early on and we didn't have a resolution at the time. So now that we have all of this new footage, we have pretty much the full picture and there is a resolution to this case, so I wanted to make sure I covered this case again. This case is one that truly stuck with me and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I first covered it, so I am very happy that there's a resolution in this case. I am happy that there has been so much more footage released so we can see just how she was behaving in the hours after her sons were murdered and in the months and year after this all happened. So I do hope that this resolution can help the families of little Jaden and Maurice heal from all of this, although they're now going to be left with huge gaping holes in their lives now that these 2 precious, adorable boys are gone. But that is all I have for today's video, and now I want to know what you all think. Why do you think Tiffany killed her boys? Do you believe she truly was delusional and had a mental break, or was she trying to fake it? What do you think of her guilty plea, and do you agree with the sentence she received? Let's discuss this and any other thoughts you have in the comments below. If you liked this video, please make sure to go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new true crime and mystery videos every single week. Don't forget to turn that notification bell to on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Make sure you follow my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. All will be linked down below. And if you have any case suggestions, please make sure to fill out the Google form, which is also listed down below. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.